Rock Salt Muzkast Experience. Aaron and Dave. Patrick had to bail out. He's got transmission problems. He's got to work on.
Yes.
I'm glad I'm not there.
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, hey, Aaron, we've got the band Fear Not.
Yes.
Live on the Zoom call.
Yeah.
That's our live studio audience, guys. Just for you. We pack them in my living room every week.
Hey, I know you just released some current stuff, and we're going to get to that. But when did this band start?
Well, let's back up.
Okay,
let's introduce the guys first.
Okay,
We got Gary, the drummer, from Southern California, up there, and he's up in the left corner there.
Yes.
And then we have David Draymond of Disturb. Oh wait, no, Larry from. He looks a little like David Draymond. Larry.
David Draymond looks like him.
Yes, exactly.
That's right.
Imagine David Draymond without the piercings, and you have Larry. David's brother.
That's awesome.
All right. He's the guitar player for Fear Not, and they are a great band. I was going to say a great band out of Southern California because you got a definite Southern California sound to you, but you're not all in Southern California.
No, not anymore, but that's where we were. That's
you all were
originated.
there.
That's where we grew up on the Strip.
Yep.
Did you really? Now, see, I'm going to tap into stories about the Strip because I am fascinated with Sunset Strip, and I have spent a lot of time there, even though I'm from Sacramento. I go down for a week or so. I hang out with some friends, meet new people. But after a week, it is such a fast-paced lifestyle on the Strip that I am like, I'm tired. I want to go home.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah.
Oh, well, at least it was back in the day. I don't know how it is now, Gare, but
It's a little tamer. It's mellower than it was.
Yeah.
For sure. It was really nuts in the 80s.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a friend, he passed a couple of years ago. He owned the baked potato.
Oh, nice. Been there many times.
What's that?
Yeah, I've been there many times.
Yeah, he owned the baked potato. His name was Vic. He was a great guy. And just knew to everybody on the Strip. So you guys, I'm listening to your music, and I'm going to get back to it, but you have a new song called Struggle, and I want to talk about that in a minute. But from the minute I turned on your music, I was like, I feel like I'm on the Sunset Strip. Hey, who you going to see this week? Oh, well, this week over at the Whiskey, they got Guns N' Roses and Motley Crue and Fear Not. Yeah, I love Fear Not. They're great, man. That's what it did to me. I mean, I felt it like picked me up and took me and dropped me in 1990 Sunset Strips. It was awesome.
Thanks.
Cool.
I hope you don't mind me saying all that, but I had to get it out of the way up front.
So
It's our roots. It's our roots. We were there. You know, it's not something we manufactured. I mean, we were actually there. I mean,
yeah.
Nightly, weekly.
Yeah, there's a vibe, an inspiration, you know, that I don't know, all those bands that were down there at the time. I'm not saying they all sound alike, but you all had a lot of the same experiences that, you know, came out in the music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no doubt. And you know, we were all influenced by each other, you know. So I think that's where you get all that, you know. I mean, there was definitely a sound to it and a look to it, you know, back then, you know, and but it was cool, man. I'm so thankful that I got to experience all that, and because that was a great time.
Yeah,
you know,
it really was.
awesome.
It really was.
I'm hoping that we can get back to a time like that here in 2022 or wherever we are.
Boy, that would be nice, wouldn't it? Aaron, I cut you off. I was a little rude. I cut you off.
I was going to say, you know, they have new music, but when did this band all begin?
Larry?
Well, I think it was, what was it, 87 or 88?
Probably.
Somewhere around there. And Gary had been jamming with a couple of other guys. And I had answered this ad. You know, back then there was this, I don't even remember what it was called, Gary.
Melody Maker or something like that.
Recycler. Huh?
The Recycler.
It was the Recycler? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
you know, there's this little section in there that had musicians wanted, and so I saw this number and it was local, and I gave them a call, and they're like, yeah, come on and show up, you know. So I went over to what was the guitar player for the band previously to Fear Not, which was called Love Life, and
which is a great record. Check it out.
Yeah.
Okay, Love Life.
Yeah.
Let's look that one up, Aaron. That's the name of the band?
That was the name of the band prior to Fear Not.
Cool.
There were a couple of different member changes and stuff, which kind of led to just the whole sound and look change and name change of the band. But yeah, I just showed up, and they were jamming in the garage, and I showed them kind of what I did and what I had at the time, and they dug it, and we just started writing some songs together. And I don't know, we were probably together 2 years, I'd say, and then
2 years and 100 shows.
Yeah, we ended up losing our bass player at the time, and then we ended up picking up Rod, who is now our bass player and who's been our bass player ever since. At that time, because we all knew each other from the local band scene, right? You know, so he was just kind of hanging out, and we asked him if he was doing anything, and he wasn't at the time, so we asked him to join us, and I think it was about 90 or so, 89 or 90, we were approached by an alternative label, believe it or not, and they saw us play at one of the clubs, and they dug us, and they're like, you know, why are you guys not signed? And we're like, well, nobody's asked us, you know.
It's like asking the hot girl, how come you don't have a boyfriend?
Yeah.
Well, because nobody's asked me.
So we actually ended up signing with this label, and which led us to the Pachyderm guys, which we were signed a little while later, but we recorded the Love Life album at the Pachyderm Studios.
Oh,
so that's how we got introduced to John and Dino and all that.
Oh, the Elefantes.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yep. And so I think it was about 89 or 90, because I think the album came out in 91, the Love Life album.
Okay.
And I mean, we just started, and that's when we really started hitting the all the clubs on the Strip, and really playing anywhere and everywhere we could, but it wasn't until we had lost our guitar player from Love Life, and we would go to the NAMM show in Anaheim every year, and there was this guy that was a mutual friend, but we didn't really know him too well, but we would always see him at the NAMM show, and this guy was like the coolest rock star ever, and at least that's how he looked, because
right.
By no means does he have a rock star attitude. He's the coolest dude you ever meet. But one day we're just like Chris, or I was talking with Gary, and we were headed to the NAMM show, and I go, we cannot leave until we see this guy, and because this is the guy I want.
Our Jonah band.
And we stayed there for hours until our feet just got tired, man. And we were walking out the door, and he was walking in, and so we talked, and we just hit it off. And so he ended up joining the band. The musical style was starting to change. I was starting to write a little more bluesier and heavier, and that's what piqued his interest. So he joined the band, and we ended up changing the name to Fear Not, and caught the interest of John and Dino, and ended up signing with them in 92, I think, because the album came out in 93. So
and they were deep in the Petra thing at that time.
Yeah. And they had who else? There was like Guardian and The Brave. Those bands that were signed just before us. So their albums came out a little bit ahead of ours, but yeah, that was a good time, man. That was a good time.
I mean, so much to talk about, really. But you mentioned Guardian and the Brave, and you guys are doing that festival. I know we briefly mentioned it, but you're doing a big festival with a lot of great bands.
Yeah.
And it looks like you're kind of smack dab in the middle of it. So I don't know, in my opinion, kind of a cherry spot, right?
Yeah, we're right in between Daniel Band and Petra.
Oh man, I would love to see Daniel Band.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. I can't wait.
Yeah,
really?
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't even know Daniel Band was still around. But I mean, other great acts on this: Barren Cross, White Cross, Les Carlson, Sacred Warrior, Saint, Fear Not, Daniel Band, Chaotic Resemblance. I mean, these are great bands.
Yeah.
Great bands. I mean,
that show on the road.
Oh, I would hands down follow that like the Grateful Dead.
That's awesome.
Absolutely. I bet that would be a barn burner of a festival.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Yeah. So you guys got
a lot of work to do, Larry.
Yeah.
Yeah, Larry, better get on it, man.
I am. I know.
It's okay if you got to bail out now because you got work to do on the festival.
It'll probably take every bit of that.
You guys got a new song called Struggle. Tell me about that a little. And why so long in between the Fear Not album from 1992, I think, and Struggle from 22?
So I can start and I'll let you finish there, okay? So basically, Pachyderm Records signed us. We did a first record. You know, in those days, there was not as much acceptance of, you know, Christian rock and that whole thing. And it was a little disheartening at times on the road, trying to play, trying to make a living, trying to do what we did. The label moved to Nashville. We looked at Nashville, and it just wasn't timing for us. So Chris moved to Nashville, and we didn't. Then Larry moved to Oklahoma. So we just it just wasn't right timing. I mean, it sounds strange and it sounds weird and it sounds, you know, I don't want to sound over spiritual about anything, but I mean, I think it wasn't God's timing. I think this is God's timing for us to come back and do what we do. We had a break. None of us quit playing music. So none of us have, you know, lost. We might've lost a little energy, but, you know, we're all right there doing back at, I mean, Chris mentioned it and Eddie would tell the story because he's the newest member of the band. You know, we got in the car to drive from the airport the first time we got back together, actually in 2020, I think that was, or maybe even before that. And
2018.
Oh, yeah, 18. We flew into Tulsa, and Larry picked us up from the airport, and I mean, we got in the car and it was like we were back in the 90s, you know, we got along the same. There was never any beef. There was never any dissension. There was never anything except for the fact that it just didn't feel right. And we, you know, we moved on. And one more thing I'll add before Larry tells the truth. Sorry.
So, hey, it's kind of like the Dirt, Aaron. We got Gary's version of it, and then now we're going to get Larry's version of it.
Yeah, exactly. So, where was I going with that, Larry?
You were probably going with the sound of the 90s.
No. I was just saying that you know, we were just like the same guys, you know. There was nothing came between us. We got back together and it was fun. So we said, you know what, maybe this is what God wants. And then Larry, you know, Larry's always been the main songwriter. He's the voice of the first, you know, Love Life and Fear Not. So, I mean, he started writing songs, and it just, you know.
I say, I know I'm going to make this really quick so we can get to Larry, but I always say, you know, sometimes God puts you on the back burner, to simmer for a little bit.
Oh, you know what? I remember what I was going to say. So in 1993, when we were out, we had no idea. There was no internet. All we got literally were letters in a mail to a mailing address we had. You know, we would get quote unquote fan mail, but we didn't know outside of, you know, the West Coast and, you know, the few times we went into the, you know, Texas and that area. I mean, we would play good concerts. We were on the road with Love War and doing some gigs with them, but we didn't know we didn't have a record count. We didn't know how many records we were selling. We didn't know how many radio stations were playing. We didn't know anything about what was going on. So we didn't think anybody cared, you know. And then what happened was, you know, the internet started hitting, and we started seeing YouTube videos pop up of our albums. And
oh wow,
you know, you get 20,000 hits on a record, and you're on your album, and you're getting people saying, "Where's Fear Not? What happened?" You know, and then all of a sudden we're like, "Wow, I guess people care." And then you know,
testimonies.
Yeah, and testimonies of lives changed by Suicide Sunshine, and some of our songs, you know, just, you know, were the anthems to people's, you know, how they made it through high school and blah blah blah. So I mean, that whole awareness was kind of God telling us, hey, maybe those people deserve more, because that's what everyone was saying. What happened? Why? And so we're like, cool, we'll give you what you want.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Larry, what's your side of the story?
So we really hated each other.
See, the truth comes out. It always does. It usually comes from the drummer, though.
Yeah. No, man. But you know, in a nutshell, that was really it. Then, you know, music started to change.
Oh, that too.
You know, here comes grunge, and it just really put a damper on it. And yeah, so like Chris moved to Nashville. I ended up coming out here a little while later to Oklahoma, and you know, there was a lot of years that went by. You know, in fact, there was a time where I actually had one acoustic guitar out of all the gear that I ever owned back in the time, and all I did was sing worship at church. You know, that's all I was doing for the longest time. And then I had a guy approach me probably about 2010 or something like that, and asked if they could cover one of our songs.
Oh wow.
And then asked if I would share the vocals on it, and I'm like, you know, well, sure, man, that would be awesome. And so they covered "We Have a God," and then I shared the vocal with oh my goodness, I know his name and it just escaped me.
Just say the guitar player's name and you'll remember.
No, this was he's a singer for Lillian Axe.
I know the band.
Yeah, but anyways, he's a great singer. But I got to, you know, he likes singing the first verse. I sang the second verse. It just turned out really cool. So that kind of got the ball rolling for me. And then somehow, like Gary was talking about, the internet, all of a sudden you get Facebook and social media and you're seeing all this stuff. And next thing I know, I'm getting these messages from some guys in Oklahoma City. And they were Fear Not fans, and they had heard that I lived in Tulsa. And so they were messaging me, hey, you know, we would love to just hook up and meet you, and we got some, you know, we'd love for you to sign some stuff. And
was it Brent Graham?
I'm sorry?
Was it Brent Graham from Lillian Axe?
Oh my gosh, why can I not?
Or Sam? I'm on Wikipedia.
You're going through.
Rick Borer.
No. Oh Lord, this is gonna. Yeah, it's gonna.
Ron Taylor. Johnny Vines. I didn't know there were so many members.
Yeah.
Derek Lefevre, Brian Jones, Derek Lefevre. All right.
Derek. Yeah. Yep, that's it. Derek.
All right. Sorry, I skewed all the, took it all off the rails, but it was gonna bother me.
Yeah, me too. So, and that guy can sing, boy.
Yeah.
But so we met these guys in Oklahoma City, and they were such cool guys, and they wanted Fear Not back together so bad that they're the ones that actually arranged everything for the guys to come out here. What Gary was talking about when we were driving to Oklahoma City in the car, they're the ones that arranged all this to get us together just to jam.
Yeah.
I think they had a little something in the back of their mind. And so we got together and jammed, and it felt so good. And
the magic was there.
Yeah. But so everybody's wanting to record again, but I'm just like, I have been the one that was like, I can't do it anymore, guys. I could sing, in my church worship or whatever, or I can record, because I could come in here and sing for a while and then take a break, and because my voice had just gotten so thrashed. And I go, the only way that we can do this is if we found somebody that could, front the band. And I had met a guy a couple years prior here in the Tulsa area, and he had a band called Even the Dogs at the time. And I'm like, and I knew this guy could sing. I'm like, I know this guy could sing. But I didn't know what they were doing, if they were still together or not. But one day I just reached out to him. I'm like, hey, Eddie, I don't know what you got going on, but here's our situation. We're wanting to write again and do some things, go in the studio. And I'm like, if you're interested, give me a holler. And it was only a matter of minutes that my phone was ringing. And he's like, hey, man, I haven't done anything in a couple years, and I would love to come over and do something, So next thing you know, we're recording one of my old demos that I did. I sent it to the guys, and they were like, let's do this. So then we found ourselves in the studio cutting an EP, and man, it just kept going.
Yeah, it's like
crazy. It's crazy to think.
Well, and I have this conversation. Seems like I have this conversation every week, Aaron, but it's like I was saying, God put you on the back burner to let you simmer for a while till the time was right. Yeah. And then when he felt the time was right, he brings this other dude in, and he brings this dude in, and it's all at the same time. And it's, we're sitting here like, oh, that's crazy, man. But
yeah,
it really isn't. It was always the plan.
Always
the plan.
We believe it. And not only that, but there was definitely something when we were recording that EP over at our producer's place. There was just something happening in that room. You just knew that the Spirit of God was just there, and we're like, this is just crazy how things are so easily flowing and coming together. It was effortless. And we just never really had things like that. We always had to work hard for stuff, right? It hasn't been like that. Even on this new record, and I have to say that it's like on the new record, it's almost like everybody just became like better players overnight, if you will. I mean, from what I'm hearing, it's like, where did this stuff come from?
You guys weren't that good 20 years ago.
Yeah, it's like everybody brought their A game. You know what I mean? It's like, wow.
Were they all auditioning for you, Larry?
I don't know, man.
I can tell you what it is too, and it comes from encouragement and from like freedom. Larry just wrote these amazing songs, and Eddie said, Eddie, make this work, and Eddie come in with these just great lyrics, and then Larry's like, Gary, play, don't think about it, just play,
just feel it.
Yeah,
use the force, Luke.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's why I think it is. I think that's, and then Chris wrote a couple songs on the record, and he's like I say, like Larry said back even in the 90s, that guy he's the consummate rock star.
Yeah. Well, I'm digging the new stuff. I want to play the new one here, Aaron. Struggle. Let's do it. From Fear Not, Struggle on Rock Salt Muzkast Experience. Rock Salt Muzkast Experience, Aaron and Dave. Fear not on the Zoom call. And Gary's down in Southern California. Everybody else is out in Oklahoma and Tennessee.
Rod's in Southern California also.
Oh, Rod's in Southern Cal as well. All right. So I'm going to have to come down and hang out with Gary and Rod at some point. I don't see myself getting to Nashville or Oklahoma anytime soon. I'm sorry, Larry. I know I'm the party animal and I'm in demand. I can't make it that far.
Hey, I'll come your way. I don't care.
Hey, we do have a good venue. We have a couple good venues here in Northern California.
We have a great venue called Goldfield. I'm stepping on
Look it down.
The place in Vacaville too.
Oh yeah, the other place in Vacaville. But dream come true. Walking down the strip with a band who was actually part of the strip in the scene. Oh, we got to make that happen. Could you make that happen for me, guys?
You bet. That would be awesome.
I'd love to go back for a day.
I love that stuff. Love that stuff. I live in the past. All right. So we did Struggle, which is the new one from Fear Not. And now we kind of touched on this a little bit earlier. And I love this topic because I was having this conversation with a friend of mine last night about how me personally, I didn't really like the 90s because grunge killed the hair bands. And there's some truth in that. It's not 100% true, but there's some truth in that. I do dig the 90s, but I just love that stuff. There was so much going on the strip. See, I hate calling them hair bands because I think that's kind of derogatory. We'll call you Sunset Strip bands. How about that? Because I think I think it really encompasses what that whole thing was. I mean, Bon Jovi, you knew was not from the Sunset Strip. They didn't sound like any of the guys from the Sunset Strip.
Yeah.
Like Poison and LA Guns and all these other bands. It was notably different. Were you guys upset when Kurt Cobain hit the scene?
Oh, I'll never forget. I think Gary, did the Fear Not album ever get into like Blockbuster, anything like that?
Yeah, it did for a minute.
It did. So,
yeah.
'Cause I think I was there one time, and I'm like, oh, there's the album, and I'll never forget where these people just come in, and they were just like, obsessed, like, where's this Nirvana album? Where's this Nirvana album? And I'm just like, what is who's this Nirvana? And then of course, we all know what happened after that, but
sure.
I mean, it just went crazy, and yeah, it definitely seemed to just sweep everybody else kind of under the rug. And,
it forced a lot of bands to reinvent themselves. But I mean, if you want an analogy for it, Aaron, it was kind of like Motley Crue, Def Leppard, all these, great bands of the 80s were standing there on a deserted road as the bus was heading away, and they're going, what just happened?
Yeah.
I can remember literally in the garage with Rod and Larry at my house thinking about writing the next album, and Larry basically saying, we're not doing that. We're not changing. This is what we are. We're not, we're not cutting our hair. We're not, wearing flannel.
That it all fell out.
but that was going to be one of my questions. Did you have big hair, Larry, back then? Did you have big hair?
Oh yeah, he had huge hair.
Did you have a mullet? Did you rock the mullet? Because I still love the mullet.
Really?
I do.
Yeah. I'm sure. I know I had a mullet at 1, 2, or 3 times before.
Yeah, I had a mullet at one point. It wasn't very good mullet, but I had one. And you, Gary, you definitely had the hair for a mullet.
Yep, I've had mullets. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, Aaron, I don't think you've ever had a mullet though.
Yes, I have.
Have you?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. You're very proud of those days. I can tell.
Not really. but that's okay. If you like the mullet, you like the mullet.
Yeah. It's I say bring back the mullet.
Now, we talked
We all
about,
become a little happier when a mullet's around.
Yeah. No, we talked about Guardian, the band Guardian, kind of adapting their sound to the grunge sound. Were you thinking about that, or it was like,
No.
we're doing metal and that's it?
Yep. That was Larry's statement.
You know, I think you're right. I think a band, I've said this, I'm going to go back. I brought up Motley Crue quite a few times, but I'm going to go back to Motley Crue again. And I think you guys will probably agree with me on this. When Motley Crue brought in John Corabi and changed the sound of Motley Crue, why? Because 90s music was going in a different direction than the hair bands. It wasn't received all that well because the fans loved Vince.
Yeah.
But if you go back and listen to that album today, it is probably their best.
I'm sorry, but I have to agree with you.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not. I mean, I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. You know.
Yeah, it is probably their best album. And had Nikki Sixx just named it something else besides Motley Crue, I think it would have done fantastic for him.
Yeah.
Just had made it a side project. So what I'm getting at is when you got your identity as a band, don't go changing the identity. The fans love it. Grow for sure.
Yeah.
But to make a drastic change from metal to grunge, I don't think it's going to work for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Because
I think,
I don't think the fans ever went anywhere. The fans were always there, and they always wanted it. It was like MTV and all that stuff that pushed all this other music, and and then of course that created their own following. But it's just like everything else, just kind of fell off.
Well,
but all those metal guys were still.
They were there.
Metal. Give me.
They
metal.
were always there.
Yep.
And I'll tell you, you're going to laugh at this. I was at an adult contemporary station when that Nirvana album was breaking out. I was playing stuff like Donald Lewis and Walking in Memphis, Mark Cohn. And I mean, I was playing this soft stuff. And one of the reps from the record company, I was trying to get more CDs and music to come into the station, kept pushing Nirvana on me. And I kept saying, we're an adult contemporary. Nirvana's got no place on this station. But that's how bad those corporations were pushing Nirvana. Was they didn't care that my listeners wouldn't like that. They wanted it on the station regardless.
Yeah. Wow.
And, I was at a small station. I can only imagine the leverage they put on big stations. Like, if you really want this other band, then you better play this band.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of that goes on.
Wow.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
I think too that I think a lot of it, I mean, for us, I know that we wrote songs, Larry wrote songs that were, from the era we were in and the time we were in, the style we were in, but that's who we were. And so there was conversations about, hey, we're not going to write grunge songs just because it's grunge time, so.
Right. Well, in listening to your older stuff, I made the mention of like Bon Jovi, you could tell is not from Southern California because they don't have that sound. There also are bands that have that sound, but don't believe in that sound. They just doing it just to do it, or, whatever. But listening to yours, I mean, I got the feeling that you guys were truly living the Sunset Strip life, maybe sans the, drugs and alcohol, but you guys were there and you were living it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Well, not to mention, man, I mean, I thrived on that music, I mean, that's what I loved,
Yeah,
and
me too.
so it just naturally came out for me, when I was writing. And you always get those comparisons, I mean, I don't know how many times I've heard, oh my gosh, you sound so much like Sebastian, and but I mean, he was one of my favorite singers, but and you can't help but be influenced by people, I definitely wasn't trying to mimic or sound like him, but what I was doing was just real. It just came out that way.
Yeah, it comes off as real. That's what I was trying to say. The I just want to. I'm afraid that this question might lead to a long answer, so we'll keep it brief because I want to talk about the 2 songs we're going to play. But who are some of your influences that you've had the pleasure of hanging out with on the Strip? Because a lot of people don't realize that the Sunset Strip is kind of crawling with rock stars.
It is.
Yeah, it really is.
I mean, I don't know if I ever. I mean, I've seen a lot of them, but just to like get well.
Come on.
I'm trying to.
You did an album with one.
Oh, see,
you sang on an album with one of them.
Huh?
Robert Sweet.
Maybe he lived a little too much of that Sunset Strip.
No. Larry was fortunate enough to sing lead on a Robert Sweet record.
Oh,
So
wow.
we would hang out with,
Sorry.
we would hang out with the thing is too is that the Christian scene was as big as ever on the Sunset Strip. I mean, there was as many Christian bands almost as there was secular bands.
Really? I didn't know that.
And yeah, so we played gigs with Guardian, we played gigs with Barren Cross, with Tourniquet, with Ransom, with all these different all the bands that were out at that time. That's so when we were there, that's who we were with. It was kind of, I think it was God ordained, but usually it wasn't just one Christian band. We did a lot of gigs like that, but for the most part, it would be Guardian headlining, and then other bands, or it'd be Holy Soldier headlining, and then Fear Not opening.
So, I've noticed.
I do have. See, my cousin, by marriage, he's Mike Raffel from the band called Jailhouse.
Okay.
And they got pretty big. They were, I think their first signing was with Enigma. But anyways, I would go to his house, and he would help me because he had a recording studio at his house, and I'd like go over there and go, I got these songs, I want to bring them into the band. He would allow me to come over there and use the studio. We would, put the songs on tape, and I'd bring them back to the guys and go, here you go, here, pass them out. But anyways, he lived in this apartment complex, and there were a lot of the guys that were on the Strip that lived in this apartment complex. So we'd be in the studio one time, and the next thing you'd hear a knock on the door, and I'll never forget that, like, this one, it was, I don't remember their names, but it was the guitar player from Faster Pussycat,
Mm-hmm.
and
Hickey Downing.
yes, and somebody else. But so my memory escapes me. But we did get to open for Yngwie there at the.
Oh, wow. How was that?
Interesting.
He's a character from what I understand, but well, first of all, an amazing technical guitar player.
Yeah.
Oh,
Technical guitar player.
yeah.
And he gets these, like Alex Lifeson, Aaron, when we saw Alex Lifeson, he gets these really complex guitar arrangements going, and you just go, that can't be enjoyable to play.
Yeah.
It's really cool to hear and see, but it can't be enjoyable to play.
Yeah.
So I got oh, go ahead.
No, please go ahead.
I was just going to say that Yngwie had a drummer. His name was Mike Tirana. Not super nice guy. I mean, I guess the Sunset Strip, we didn't meet a lot of them like there, but we would meet them in music stores and NAMM shows and hang out with.
Yeah. Now we did get to hang out and meet him.
So,
Yeah.
But Yngwie's story, Mike Tirana, really nice guy, but he had a monster drum kit. And I don't know if you've obviously been to the Whiskey, but the Whiskey stage is not very big.
No, it's not.
So here's the two things that are unique about the Whiskey show. Larry lost his voice.
Oh no.
This was at the Troubadour, though, Gare.
Oh, it was the Troubadour. I'm sorry. It was the Troubadour,
Okay.
which is even a smaller stage. That's right.
I have not been in the Troubadour.
So small stage, huge drum set, 4 Marshalls, dual Marshall stacks on each side.
That's probably enough to power that place.
Well, there was no room for us. So no, I kid you not. So I always drove a van, and I had to slide the music gear in and out. I had a piece of plywood. So I took the piece of plywood and some brick and had to put my drums on above the stairs. So there was the stair cutout and the stairs would go down off the stage. So I had to sit above the stairs on a piece of plywood.
Oh, scary.
Snare drum broke.
Yeah, blocked up.
Yeah, the snare drum broke the first song. Larry couldn't sing, to anywhere near his potential. So I was singing as much as I could, helping. You've got a packed house full of, it was midweek during first semester of MI. So you've got all these guitar players and
everybody from GIT.
Yeah, from Musicians Institute. They're all there. And we were mortified. And we played the show, and we got a really cool write-up. And I don't know if you remember the magazine BAM.
Yeah, I remember that.
BAM magazine. Yeah, Bay Area. That's where you were. But we got a really strong write-up in that. It was brief, but it was yeah. So it was cool.
That's crazy. I had full-on laryngitis, and I could, I was singing like, I probably
you went grunge that night. Yeah, that's what you should have done. You should have done the Spinal Tap thing and said, "Welcome to Fear Not 2.0," and turned it into a grunge band.
It was great, yeah. But we heard there was a buzz going around, and we had never met Yngwie before that night or anything like that. But there was a buzz going around saying, yeah, these guys have been on tour with him, and he's lost his voice from all the shows. And we're like, what? Where's this stuff coming
from? Yeah, that stuff happened all the time, man. There would just be a story going on, and you wouldn't be even close to true.
Right. Well, now, quick question. I keep saying I want to get to these 2 songs. I really do. And we've already gone long. But this is a really good question, which is I notice with Michael Sweet that he is very well respected by his peers in, say, Motley Crue and I'm trying to think of these other bands, Poison and
Tesla's
and Tesla. Yeah. And did you find, you said there was a pocket of these Christian bands back then on the Sunset Strip. Did you find that you received the respect of the other mainstream bands as one of their own?
I would say yes. How about you, Larry?
Yeah, I mean, I think we built some pretty good relationships. But it doesn't hurt when you've got relatives and stuff that are in the mainstream. And
right.
Like my cousin from Jailhouse and stuff. But and he loved us, so it helps, and I don't think we ever got ribbed or bashed on or anything. I think we just went out there and just kind of let the music do its thing, and we were always prepared. We rehearsed like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah.
And we always wanted to. We always, Christian at that time, Christian metal always had a bad rap, right?
Right.
Like it just couldn't hold a candle to the mainstream.
Right. It was the Wish knockoff of Poison.
Yeah. But we wanted to be at that level.
Right.
We're like, why can't we as believers, giving God everything that we have, we should be above that. Not that we're trying to be arrogant or anything, but man, in excellence, we do everything right. And why can't we just be there right along with mainstream? And that's what we wanted to do, because that's where, if you gain their respect, they're going to listen to what you have to say.
Right.
So that's where we were at.
Well, it's, being a fan and a listener, and if you've never visited the Sunset Strip and you've never talked to these people, you would think that Motley Crue hated Stryper because they're so opposite.
Yeah.
But in reality, they both respect each other.
Yeah.
You also have to take in consideration too, and Michael Sweet is absolutely phenomenal musician, but he's one of the nicest, most realest guys you ever meet in your life. So
Yeah, he's
he's the real deal, and he's the same guy, in every situation. He learned really young. I think he was kind of a model for Christian bands going out there, because he was normal.
Well,
he knew about guitars. He knows about gear. He knows about music. So they had things to talk about, and Jesus was always there, but I don't think he made people uncomfortable with it.
Yeah, he didn't make people uncomfortable. And as far as the Christian rock scene, and I'll just pick a year, 1988, because that's really kind of the peak of the whole hair band era.
Mm-hmm.
He was really kind of carrying the flag out in front.
Yes, he was.
For the rest of the Christian rock bands.
Yep.
And it wasn't like, oh, look at us, we're Striper. It was more like, I'm kicking in the door, and any of us could have done it, but it just happens to be MTV is playing my video, so I'll take that role.
Yeah.
So
and you gotta admit, those guys were phenomenal.
they were great.
They
We've
still
seen
are.
them twice.
I shouldn't say they're still phenomenal.
And while I like Timothy Gaines, I think Perry is a much better addition to Striper as the bass player.
He's a pretty good fit, isn't he?
He really is. He really is. I think Timothy served his role in the beginning, but there just came a time where it didn't fit anymore. It didn't work anymore. We're going to do Suicide Sunshine, and we have a God. And I wanted to talk about these songs, but we're already kind of late. So I want to just go into these. These are from the 1993, 92, 93, 1993 album. Is it just called Fear Not? Is the album called Fear Not?
Self-titled. Yep.
All right. So for anybody that is digging metal, go check out Fear Not. They're on Spotify, and I'm sure they're on Apple, right?
Yeah.
Wherever you stream music. And you guys got socials? Are you guys around on media?
We're on Facebook, Fear Not. We have Reverb Nation. Fear Not. ReverbNation.com/Fear Not. Rocks. And that's pretty much where we are. We're on Instagram also.
All over the place.
And we're trying. I mean, we're old guys. This is all new to us. So,
Yeah, so are we. We're not very good with the socials.
yeah, we're
We got
trying,
'em,
though.
but yeah,
And
we're not
just-
good at them.
Just so we don't, just shamelessly, so that we don't this gets out and knows we
Honestly,
Struggle is the first single. It actually came out. There's actually a video on YouTube. Great that you're seeing me play drums in the back.
yeah.
That's the recording of the video.
Okay.
That's out there on this Friday on the 4th or the 3rd? The 3rd.
Third.
Friday the 3rd, our single Field of Sorrows is coming out on all media outlets. We're going to do a little Facebook Live on the Fear Not Facebook page. And then July 8th, the record, which is entitled Field of Sorrows, is coming out. Full length album with a couple of bonus tracks on there. We're really super excited. So this Struggle is the first song and first single off of that record. The second single is coming out next week. And I just want to do that shameless plug because
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Not even shameless.
No,
In fact, I'm gonna break here and do a little behind the scenes on the air, which is, Aaron, can we get the band on around July 8th and play the album?
okay.
Can we do that? Would you guys be
Yes.
down for that?
Oh yeah.
All right. And
sure,
definitely
you guys can first to ask. So yeah.
yeah. All right. So we're there. We got an exclusive, Aaron.
Exclusive.
Hey, for sure, send us a link to that that Facebook Live thing you're gonna do, and we'll put it up on our socials and
As
let
well.
people know about it for sure. Guys, definitely please come back because I want to talk Sunset Strip. We could do a whole show with you if you really want, because I want to talk Sunset Strip. I want to talk your new album and all that stuff. So
You bet.
we scratched the surface today, Aaron.
Yeah, it was a great interview.
Yeah.
Great. Thanks for coming on, guys.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And
Thank you,
if
guys.
you're listening right now, please check out Fear Not and check him out on the socials, and excited about that new album. And we're going to be playing.
Which one first?
Oh,
Suicide?
yeah.
All right. Let these guys introduce it. What's this song?
Suicide
Sunshine.
Sunshine.
On the Rock Salt Muzkast Experience.